And Job replied, "Even today my complaint is bitter. His hand is heavy in spite of my groaning. If only I knew where to find him. If only I could go to his dwelling. I would state my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would find out what he would answer me and consider what he would say. Would he oppose me with great power? No. He would not press charges against me. Ere an upright man could present his case before him, and I would be delivered forever from a judge. But if I go to the east, he's not there. If I go to the west, I don't find him. When he is at work in the north, I do not see him. When he returns to the south, I catch no glimpse of him. But he knows the way that I take, and when he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. My feet have closely followed his steps, and I've kept to his way without turning aside. I have not departed from the commands of his lips, and I have treasured the words of his mouth more than all my daily bread. But he stands alone, and who can oppose him? He does whatever he pleases. He carries out his decree against me, and many such plans he still has in store. That is why I'm terrified before him. When I think of all this, I fear him. God has made my heart faint. The Almighty has terrified me. Yet I'm not silenced by the darkness, by the thick darkness that covers my face. Lord, we thank you for the day. We thank you for your word. We thank you for the opportunity to study. Help us to apply it in our lives. In your Son's name. All right, continuing our study, our second week of books of poetry, or things thereof related to that. Last week we talked a little bit from earlier in Job, one of the friends of Job was giving him some advice. It was not necessarily the right answer for Job, but it was some advice that had some value in it, and we took a look at that. It had to do with discipline. We looked at discipline and saw that it is not fun, but it does bring about happiness. And because it talks about, be happy that you're being disciplined. And of course we said, really? We had to look at it from the distinction of what he's really talking about. It's not fun, but it does bring about happiness. Even though discipline has value, I have yet to find one person volunteering for it. No one wants it because it's painful. We should accept God's discipline, and in accepting it, we need to turn ourselves back to him and put ourselves in his hands and trust him. That's the whole purpose of discipline, is to correct, to change forces or causes to want to change directions and to make that choice. God disciplines his children because he loves them. And a lot of the analogy we looked at had to do with a father to a child. When you understand that in our relationship, it helps us to understand how God deals with us, because he calls us throughout the entire Bible his children. And that we're in his image from the very beginning. I mean, it starts there and goes all the way throughout. And so when we look at that analogy, when we look at that comparison, it helps us to understand. And we can kind of see it in ours, even though we're probably not that good about doing it. We're all guilty of not disciplining correctly. Sometimes we over, sometimes we under, whatever. And but we can see what God is about there. He does it because he loves them. God's discipline wounds, but it also heals. But he says, yes, it's painful. It does bring about things that we don't enjoy, but he's always there to make it up. He's always there to heal. And it does not bring death. Okay? Later on, he talks about them in that passage, he talks about death. That has to do with final punishment. We talked about how this is discipline, which may include some punishment, but it's really about bringing about a change, and then God turning around and he heals things. So even though he wounds, he also heals. I also talked about the fact that we should not fear destruction, because God can rescue us and restore us. So we don't need to fear the end of things, because between now and then, God can rescue us, and then he can restore us to the position we were at, which is his child. I mean, think of the prodigal child, the prodigal son. And that analogy, once again, back to the child, the children. We talked about suffering. Is all suffering about discipline? The answer was no. We looked at suffering comes from my sin. The things that I do produces suffering. When I do things I'm not supposed to do, that God says don't, it produces suffering in my life. Suffering also comes about because of things other people do when they sin. So when other people's sins cause suffering to others around them, including myself, sometimes that happens because of what other people do that God has said don't do. And we talked about drunkenness and driving, and both of those is a real easy example to see in both of those situations. Even though he fits in every single thing, but they're real easy to see there. And then the third thing we saw is that suffering comes from Adam's sin. A lot of times it's not what I did or you did. Sometimes it's just because we live in a world that's damaged by sin from the beginning. That's why we have calamities. That's why we have disasters. That's why things. We talked about the fact that the whole world is groaning and pain. It is dying and begging for the day that Jesus will return and rejuvenate or give it life again or whatever. It's in groaning and pain. And we talked about how even the law of thermodynamics says that everything in this world is going from order to disorder, to decay. And that's just the way it is. And because of that, it causes suffering here. I mean, when we have a hurricane or earthquake or some of these events that causes suffering, it's not because I did something or you did something. Sometimes it's just because the world is dying because of Adam's sin. All right, and the last thing pointed out was that for every cause or sin, there's an effect. Suffering. Every time there's sin, there's going to be suffering. There's no way around it. And we even apply that to, I think I applied that back to thermodynamics. It's actually Newton's law of motion. It says that if something, you have impact, then you got a reaction. And so that's basically it. That's what we talked about. I was talking about working with my daughter on trying to understand when you do certain things, there's an impact to it. There's an effect. You do certain things are going to happen. That's just the way it is. And that's the way it is with sin. When there's sin, there will be suffering. So until sin is eliminated, guess what's not going to be eliminated? Suffering. Then sin will be eliminated. Jesus returns in heaven. In the end. All right. We kind of touched on some things related to that, about Job's specific case, because this really isn't Job's case. Job wasn't being disciplined for anything. Matter of fact, his whole point was, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm one of yours. But he couldn't see what was happening in Job chapter 1 and 2. He couldn't see what was happening in heaven. He didn't understand. Is why this is here. But that particular case, one of his friends threw out as the explanation, you must have sinned, it didn't really apply to Job. But today's lesson tags on to that with the part about related to Job. And it's the question that we always ask. When something bad happens to us, what do we always say? Why did it happen to me? Why me? That's the question we always ask, because it's hard to understand. We don't understand, and so we ask the same thing Job asked. Why me? Why me? What is the relationship we have with God? He is our Father. So if He's our Father and He loves me, then why is this happening to me? It doesn't make sense, okay? And as a matter of fact, in the verses we just read, let's go back to them. He says, even today my complaint is bitter. God's hand, is heavy. That's what he's saying. It's God's hand is heavy on me in spite of my groaning. I'm telling him I'm dying here. I'm in pain. And his hand is still heavy. Why? Why? You can see it in his crying out here is why. He goes on to say, if I could just find him. Why does he say that? He looked to the north, the east, the south, the west. He looked within, he looked without, he looked everywhere. Did he find him? No. I could just find him. But he says, I don't find, I don't see, and I don't even catch a glimpse of him. Have we all said that? I have. Why me? Why is this happening to me? I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing this and this. Why is this thing happening to me? You know, we talked about the different ways that God does it last week. You know, sword, famine, and plague is the common phrase used throughout the Bible, but he explains it in different ways. So it could be economic, it could be disease, it could be calamity, it could be all kinds of things. Why? You know, at the root of it all is death. Which we know goes back to Genesis 3. But we look at that and we say, why me? We're no different than what Job was doing. And he goes on and he argues the same thing Christians argue. What do Christians argue? Excuse me, who do I belong to? You. I go to church 3 times a week. Nick. I say my daily prayers. Amen. You know, I do what I'm supposed to. I don't go out and I don't go partying and getting drunk and driving, you know, like we talked about last week for some of the incidents and sin that causes problems. I don't do all those things. I'm good. I'm a good guy. I'm even nice to my fellow man sometimes. I give of myself. I give of my church. Why does this happen to me? Yeah. And that's what he says. He says, my feet have closely followed your steps. That means he's followed right behind what God said to do. I'm walking in your footsteps. I'm doing what you tell me. He goes on and says, I have kept to his way, to God's way, without turning to the left or to the right, to turning aside. Wow. He's an upright man. I have not departed from the commands of your lips. In other words, he's followed everything that God said. I've done everything. I am an upright man. Not only that, I am your child, and I'm doing exactly what you want, Dad. Why is this happening? Why are you doing this? That's what he's really saying. Why are you doing this? He says, if I could just state my case before you, if I could just get you, where are you, Dad? If you could just come here and let me explain how good a guy I am, and how I do everything you say, then surely you would say, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. If you could just get him, he would press, then he would, his father or God would not press charges against him, like a prosecutor, it says. He wouldn't charge him with anything when he realized that I really was okay. I was doing what he said. See? Even Job had a feeling that there was something God thought he had done that he didn't do. Because he wanted to defend himself about how good a guy he was before God. God had made the mistake. And if I could just clarify, clean it up, if you just show yourself, and I could straighten it out for us, this would all go away. Have we ever thought that way? Have we ever thought, I'm a Christian. I do the things I'm supposed to do. I try to follow God. Yeah, I stumble here and there. But for the most part, in the ways of the world, the way the world views me, I am a good Christian man. I do all these things for God, and I lead, and I do this, and I teach, and I do that, and I give to my neighbor, or whatever, you know, all these different things. Why is this happening to me, God? You know? And then you look at Abraham and say, oh, look, he rewarded him. Why is he not rewarding me? If you'll just listen to me for a minute and see my case, then you'll know that I'm okay. And then you can reward me like you did Abraham. I mean, we even have religious philosophies out there that say the same thing about you're good and God gives you good. You know, no, that's not really what God says. So, have we all felt that same way too? See, in the first case, he's asking, he says, where's my loving Father? What has happened to you? Because he recognizes that God is love. When he says, let me present my case and I will show you how good a guy I am, and then you will not charge me, he's recognizing that God is just. Remember at the end of class last week we talked about those two things and how they appear to be in a conflict sometimes? So here he is, he's presenting himself to God and he's saying, look, you're a loving God, you're a just God. If you'll just get over here and sit down with me, we can work this out. Because I shouldn't be in this situation. That was Job's position. Isn't that ours sometimes? It is first, I know it is. You know, it is for me, and surely you're no different than me. I'm just a human. That's my first reaction too. Wait a minute. You know, I'm doing all these things and trying to be everything you want me to be, and I trust in you, and this is what I get? Something's wrong here. And then after a period of time, just like in Job, finally get to the end of the matter and finally come back to the same conclusion Job has, actually, or at least I do, is that, oh, wait a minute, more to this, and what I want to talk about next, and that is God is God. Too many times in this world, when we have this conversation, we leave out that simple little thought. God is God. God's not my friend sitting over here advising me. He's not my earthly father. He doesn't walk on this earth like a human. Because he's not. He is God. Now, if we can recognize that, then suddenly we need to think in a different terms. And that's one of the things that he points out in this 23rd chapter. God is God. He's not human. Why do we treat him like he is? Why do we do that? We cannot interact with him like he was our equal. Isn't that what Job was wanting to do? Come here and sit down with me and let me explain why I'm okay. I'm sorry. If God is God, don't you think God already knows that? That's not what Job was saying. Sometimes that's not what we're saying. When the world out there blames God for things, they forget that he is God. He's not a human. Okay? We don't interact the same way. As a matter of fact, who created who? Did we create God? If you go to Romans chapter 1, we created a whole bunch of gods. They're all dead. They're all imaginary. They're all powerless. But the God that we're talking about here is the one that created us. We are the creation, not the creator. Has the clay ever understood what the molder or the maker had in mind? No, it just got slammed and rolled around, and Mary Beth learned how to do that now. And did all that stuff to it and threw it in a kiln and fired it up and then come out and use it for something. You know? Never once said, excuse me, I don't think I want to be a bowl, I want to be a cup. You know what I mean? But that's the analogy that we use when we look at our Creator and we try to understand what we're here for, and we don't realize that we have a limited understanding. I'm a bowl. I'm not intended to be a cup. Why should I be arguing with the Creator as to why I should be a bowl instead of a cup? Or whatever it may be. Well, the answer is real simple. I'm not the Creator. Because of that, I have a limited understanding. Period. I don't understand everything about who I am today in modern science. Do we understand everything about the body? No. When we look out in the universe, do we understand everything about the universe? No. All this is creation, and we haven't a clue. As a matter of fact, we have more knowledge in the last 100 years than the entire creation before us. And it's still just a dot. I mean, it's still just a dot.
But Scott, we are of course God's children, and just like our children do with us, or we do with our friends, we still want to argue.
I like that because you ever heard a child that said, "Sure, Dad, whatever you say." Not mine. Not till about the 10th time and you hit him over the head. Said, I think John's the one that says this all the time. I brought you into this world, I take you out.
We've got just enough
That's why
knowledge.
God is God, remember?
We've got just enough knowledge to make us think we know more than we know, so we argue with people and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we try to bring him down to our level, like we could even can be on the same page, like we can even have a reasonable conversation. It's like a baby trying to talk to a grown man about life. It don't happen. It's limited understanding. The next thing we need to understand is, and this comes out of here, is God is physical? No. He's spiritual. Spirit. What kind of world does he live in? A physical one? A spiritual world. He lives in a totally different world than we understand. The world we're in is just one little corner of his. We have no understanding. You know anything about angels? I can get about 15 different opinions if I ask them right now. And none of them may or may not be right because there's not enough information. Do we understand how the spiritual world works? I can ask you right now, and I can get you 2 different opinions of what happens the minute we die. I can go, on and on and on and on, because why? We are limited by time and space. We are physical. God does not live in that world. If he doesn't live in it, if we don't live in the real world, which is the spiritual world, which we've had classes where I've tried to emphasize that we're spiritual beings and part of that other world, even though we're limited, then how in the world can we even comprehend what is really going on? Job chapter 1 and 2 makes that very clear. In all that little corner of the world, the physical world he was in, and all the pain and all the suffering and all the things that was going on, he didn't understand why, did he? At the end of Job, did he understand why? No. He just accepted it. He didn't know because he was in a little corner of a physical world, and God is in an eternal spiritual world, and in that world, there's a Satan that walks before God and challenges him. Because God created this world in such a way that man had a choice. Good, evil, yes, no, black, white, light, dark. God, Satan. This tree, that tree. God created it that way. We don't understand that, but he did. And in this spiritual world, that conversation is going on that we don't even know about. We get glimpses. We talk about power of God, and we look at the armies and whatever. That's one of the biggest problems with the premillennial argument today, in my opinion, is they're talking about what kind of a world. A physical world. Does God live in a physical world? No. He lives in a spiritual world. When he has a war, is it happening in the physical world? No. Matter of fact, was it Elisha or Elijah? Elisha, I think, talked about the armies of hosts that he could see, and he told his servant, go look. He's like, what are you talking about? And then God removed the veil and said, here, look into the spiritual world. And suddenly he was like, oh my goodness. It doesn't matter how many armies man has. The armies of God, which we don't even comprehend or see, that is going on. The real battle is not even here. We don't know that because we're stuck in this little corner of God's world. What we call this earth, this physical world. So that we need to understand that God lives in a totally different place. And we have a limited view of what the real world is about. So we have limited understanding, limited view. The next thing is, God is holy. What does that mean? What does holy in essence mean? Separate and apart. That's what it means literally. Sanctified, separate, and apart. That means there is nothing that can be around him that it is him. As holy as we are, or try to be, we can never be that without his help. He is holy, he is separate apart, he is pure, he is righteous, he is all those things. He is so holy that when Moses, the only man that really went before him, did Moses see his face to face? God showed him his back. He said, I am so holy, if you look on my face, you will not survive. Do we see God face to face?
So saying Adam and Eve walked and talked to him.
It is.
He gave that up.
It is. That means at that time they were holy. They were just like God, holy in his face. Good point. They were able to walk and talk with him. And today, because of that, we can't even look upon his back. Moses did, and it was almost to a point that the people, and the effect it had on Moses, that the people said, stay away from us. Keep God away from us. That's what holiness is. Do we see him? Do we hear him? Do we? No. And the reason is because he's so holy and so far removed from us. No one can see him face to face. We see and hear through his actions. That's what Romans 1 and 2 is talking about. We can see him through the things he's done. When we talk to him and we get an answer to a prayer, we see the things he's done. He doesn't walk up and say, hey, by the way, I'm going to take care of that for you. You ever seen him do that? No. But we do see the end result of what he does. When it comes to hearing him, does he go, God, today I want you to talk about? No. But when I do study and I'm going through this, suddenly I go, where did that come from? It's because I was reading something and he reminded me, like he said, of things. So he does, we see and hear him through the actions that he does, but he's too holy for us to be face to face. It's not happening. So because of that, we have limited interaction with him. Limited interaction because we're not holy, he is. The next thing is, God is almighty. We pointed out that's the words, and it's used over and over throughout Job. El Shaddai, almighty, all-powerful. God is all-powerful. Matter of fact, he says in verse 13, he does whatever he pleases. See, that's the thing we need to remember when I say God is God. If he's really God, he can do whatever he wants, right? What can I do about it? He does whatever he pleases. Verse 14, he carries out his decrees against me. You see, I have limited abilities. Have you ever been able to reach up and say, stop that? Don't do that. You can't do that. I'll flip this off like a bug. You don't have that ability. God is almighty. He is all-powerful. He is all the power. All powerful, I guess it is. There's not an omni word. Oh, yeah, there is an omni word. That's one of those English. Which I know. Omnipotent. Alright? Alright. So if God is God, what do we have to do? What? Obey him? Pray, believing?
Trust.
Trust. All of these are part of trust. Or as the Bible likes to use that word, fancy word says faith. But it's all about, it's really just trust. Put yourself in his hands. Like a child would do to a father. You don't know what he means and why, Mary Beth. Just do what I say because that's the way it needs to be. And one day you'll understand. Is that what we tell our kids? One day you'll figure it out. That's what we need to do, the same thing. We have to trust God, and in trusting him, we have a hope for tomorrow. See, that's the thing. If you believe that God is God, and we believe and trust in all these things and see all the power and his love and his justice and all those things, there's hope for tomorrow. Guess what? Without him, there is no hope. There is no hope. Matter of fact, some says you're dead all over like Grover or whatever you want to look at or whatever. There is no hope. Why am I here? Without God, without all these things, there's no hope for tomorrow. And if there's no hope for tomorrow, then there's no reason for today. You might as well be like the dogs and just do whatever. And quite frankly, that's some of the philosophies of the world. They're just animals and just go live like one. Do what makes you happy. Of course, that doesn't take away the suffering, doesn't take away the pain, and it just increases it. But that's the thing. So when we need to think about it, we need to think about God, whether there is God or not. If there is no God, there's no reason for our existence. But if there is a God, there's a reason for our existence, and we need to do something about it. Because if there's a God, and He's all of these things, we need to go, ooh. All right? Now, the next thing I want to spend a couple minutes on, we touched on last week, is God's interaction with man. Specifically, let's talk about His people, because that's us. How God interacts with us. First of all, does God protect His people? Yes. He talks about putting a hedge of protection around them. My wife constantly prays for our children that God will put a hedge of protection around them. Job had a hedge of protection around him. That we see how Satan went and said, well, sure, he's going to follow you. He got him protected. Knock that hedge down a little bit or let me in and we'll see how good a guy he really is. Remember that? But the point I'm making is God does protect His people. He puts a hedge around them. He protects them. He does everything for them and provides for them and all these things. Jesus says God gives what kind of gifts? Good gifts, perfect gifts, good gifts. He doesn't give bad things. He won't give you a snake. He gives you bread. God gives good gifts and He gives blessings. Look at Abraham. We talked about that, how He blessed him. You know? He blesses. He even blesses us, even though sometimes we're in the middle of all the pain and misery of this world and we don't see it. But He does. And if you think about it, He's even in our pain and misery, He's still protecting us. Or think how bad it could be. Could be worse. God does protect the people, His people. He does watch after them. He does bless them. He does give them good gifts. Does He listen to their pleas? Yes. He listens to their pleas, and even though sin is in this world causing decay and death and destruction, sometimes God reaches in and pushes His finger out there and does something, doesn't He? Sometimes He pushes that disease away for a while so that you can live a life that's productive for Him. Sometimes He blesses you with a certain economic value, or this or that. Even though sin is trying to tear it all down, and Satan's trying to tear it all down, sometimes God listens to our pleas, our groaning, as Job was talking about. And even though there's a heavy hand around us, He listens and He sticks that little finger in. You don't need a big finger. He sticks that little finger in and goes, okay, Scott, I'll do that for you. So prayer has value. Does that mean He does it all the time? Sometimes He goes, that's not really what I need to accomplish my goals. Maybe later. Maybe never. You know, sometimes it's just, we don't like that. We're human, but if you go back to the premise that God is God, sometimes we just need to accept that. Or ask again and again. Yeah, He talks about a persistent widow, which was the first lesson I ever taught. But yeah, persistence pays off sometimes. But God does listen, and God does stick His finger in there and change what normally sin and all that would be causing destruction in this world. So He does interact there. The other way He interacts that He does with His people is He tests those that He loves. We see this, and He tests His children, He tests those that He loves. You can see that in the case of Job. When you go back to the first couple of chapters, basically, He tested His people. He trusted Job. Job was a good man, upright. He trusted Him. He was His child. He believed in Him. So much that he said, sure. Okay? As a matter of fact, when your children get to a certain age, do you stop directing every single aspect of their life? If you're not, you didn't do your job. Okay? Because you're supposed to get them to a point that they're able to make their own choices. So sometimes you have to take a chance and say, okay, and step back and allow the challenge for them to make the decision. As children, do we always make that decision, even as adult children, to make the right one? No, we don't. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But as in our life, we see that that's what he do. That's the same thing God does. He does it. He turns around and he Satan is out there challenging him for those that belong to him. I was talking to somebody, and I firmly believe, and I'm right, I firmly believe that Satan brings more trials and chaos and suffering and problems on people that belong to God than he does the others. Why? He wants to tear me down. He wants to jerk me away from God. He's already got the other guy. Give him $1 million. He's in the lottery. You know? When was the last time you gave somebody else the lottery that could use it for good? No. So he gives it to somebody over here that says, you got it made. You're going to just bring more destruction. God goes out, Satan goes out after those that are doing right. So sometimes when you feel like you're being picked on and you're a Christian and you're a good guy and you're upright and all those things, say, oh, do I know why? Because I am trying to do what God wants. I am trusting him, and therefore Satan's out to get me. And just take it for what it is. God allows Satan to use suffering in order to test his people. Without sin and suffering, there is no good and happiness. We talked about it a minute ago. You've got to have good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark. Without sin, without suffering, there is no happiness, no goodness, and all those things. So there's got to be a choice. There's got to be two things. All right? We've been given a choice. But God also tells us that even though there's sufferings and trials that are brought on our life that he allows Satan to do in our life, guess what? It's got a little asterisk there. What that asterisk is? No more than we can bear. If we're enduring it, it's because God knows we can handle it. If we got it in our life, we know it's because God trusts that we can make the right decision and trust him in spite of it. He doesn't allow any more on us than we can handle. He promises us that. All right. Kind of wrap it up. Let's say this. God is, therefore he does. God is, so he does. We just need to trust him. He's God. He does what he does, and we need to trust him. God is good and righteous. Man, not so much. Not so much. Man's heart is basically evil, the Bible says. We're always looking for ways to get around goodness. God is love. Agape kind, selfless love. What about man? No. Even in our best moments, we're still looking out for number one. Even in our best moments. God is love, man is not so much. God does not do evil. That's where Job was wrong. He blamed God. That's where the world is wrong. They blame God. That's where we're wrong. We blame God. God does not do evil. God is holy. He and evil don't go hand in hand. God does not do evil. Satan does. So everything that's happening is because Satan is doing it in this world because of a result of sin and or God has allowed him to challenge us. Does that make sense? Is it a lesson we like? Exactly. As a matter of fact, come tomorrow when something happens to me, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Why me? I just taught the lesson, but the first thing I will say out of my mouth will be, what'd I do? it's gonna take me a little bit, God is God, no, you know, because it's hard for us to grasp that. All right, any last thoughts, comments? All right, next week we're looking at Psalms, it's lesson number 3. I think it's talking about righteousness and unrighteousness. I recall correctly. All right, excellent.